Hi, welcome to the podcast Ease into Clarity. I'm Dr. Divi, family doctor turned intuitive coach, and I'm here to help you. In this podcast, we will learn mental techniques, emotional techniques, and spiritual techniques to change daily problems. So maybe it's your husband, your boss, your coworker, your kids, they're driving you crazy. You can email me any of your questions and I will use all the techniques I've learned over the years and help you. Grab your hot chocolate and make sure to subscribe. We'll see you soon. Ciao. Hi, I am Dr. Divi, host of podcast Ease into Clarity, and thank you for joining me. Today we will be talking about the victim-victimizer triangle and how to step out of it. I've chosen this topic on purpose because a lot of us realize, and may not realize actually consciously, that so much of our society is based on this victim energy. If you're ever in doubt, turn on the TV, watch the news at 6 o'clock. What does this really mean? We have been taught by society, by our culture, by media, that we're victims. Things are going to work out for us. I am not important. I don't matter, and so on. And if you actually look at it, there's actually something called the victim triangle. The victim triangle is what runs the legal profession, runs the medical profession, it runs actually the majority of relationships, and a lot of society. And it's hard to find a lot of parts of society that are outside of it. And then you walk into the spiritual realm where they say, you create your reality, you are the divine I am, and they seem totally differently. So let's first take a minute to talk about what the victim triangle is, and then we'll talk about how to step out of it. And if you know me, I like simple things, so I'll just give you really 4 simple steps, but we'll get there at the end. What the heck is the victim triangle? The victim triangle was a psychological tool that was developed back in the 70s or 80s. And I apologize, I should have looked that up earlier. But the victim triangle has 3 corners to it. One is the victim, the second one was the bully, and the third one is the hero. When I used to work as a doctor and I would see patients all the time, and even when I used to work as an intuitive coach and I would help clients regularly, people would often talk in terms of, he did this to me, she did that to me. And I used to see medical patients like that all the time. And the hero was in the way of like the pill, maybe just coming to talk to me, the antidepressant, whatever. Sometimes the hero is a bottle of booze, drugs, whatever. The thing about the victim triangle is that you can change hats within it whenever you want. So at one minute in your relationship, you might be the victim. And the next minute, you might be the victimizer. And the next minute, you might be the hero. Like you hop hats whenever you want. And the whole idea is how to break the victim triangle is to not see anybody as a victim. And that's the key. And we're going to get into that in just a quick minute. The other thing to keep in mind with the victim triangle is the victim often becomes the victimizer. What the hell? How is that, Divi? If I'm the victim, everything bad happened to me. Let me give you an example. Most of us remember the KKK. They still exist. The KKK started because they really thought that Black people were taking over the world. They were going to rape my women. They were going to take over my jobs. So when you think about it, the KKK actually started because they felt like victims to the Black people. And then what happened? They became the victimizers. If you look at history, that victim to victimizer pattern is repeated over and over and over again. And I just want you to pause the video for a quick minute and just think in your life, where do you play the victim? I can tell you lots of places I play the victim. Where do you play the victimizer? I'm guarantee you can find places. And where do you play the hero? I know you can find places. We all do it. And the whole idea is to bring conscious awareness to it before I take you into how to break it. But it becomes a very deep subconscious pattern. And before I go into how to break it, just quickly, the victim triangle is often started in our childhood, in our sibling relationships with our parents, whatever. And then as adults, we actually revisit the same patterns with partners we marry, people we have affairs with, our kids, our bosses, and we end up in that similar triangle wearing the different hats to actually heal it. That's how the universe works. So it sparked in childhood, right? And then it kept continuing. I'll briefly give you an example for me. In my own childhood, you may know my parents immigrated from India before I was born. So I was born in the late 60s, grew up in the 70s and 80s. And grew up in a smaller city near Detroit called Windsor, Ontario. And there was a lot of racism. It was very much a motor town, like Chrysler and so on was in there. Very much of a racist town, a blue collar town. So in the 70s and early 80s, I experienced a lot of racism. So when you experience racism, you perceive a lot of victimhood. No one likes me. I look different. My skin tone's different. I can't change the color of my skin tone. They're not going to accept me. So that, it showed up there. Then I saw issues in my parents' health, nothing terrible, but just, a little bit of pain, a little bit of that, a little bit of that. And that creates victimhood. A good example from my childhood was, in my childhood, we really didn't have that many options as to what we want to do. And that's not anyone's fault. Classic immigrant parents, they were afraid of what was going to happen in a new country. And so, quote unquote, they made us all become doctors. So I was very much a victim to that, thinking I had to become a doctor or else something bad would happen. That was such an ingrained belief in my head. If I didn't become a doctor, something bad was going to happen. So again, victim, 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 victim. Nothing wrong. I'm just showing you. And what happens is as you get older, you actually start to see it in others. When I worked as a doctor for the first bunch of years, to see all my patients as victims, especially the ones that were depressed. They would tell me stories about their husbands and their wives and their kids. And I would be like, oh my God, if that child would only change, if that wife would only change. And that's what I used to think. Then, as you may know, I got sick myself. And I was only able to heal when I started to understand the emotional nature of my illness and the mental nature of my body. Because what victimhood does, and the victimizer and the hero, is it creates pain in our body. A lot of my pain was from the victim energy, right? So let's talk about how to break it. Now that you kind of are seeing where in your story, in your childhood, it comes from, and you can see that so many areas of our life, we relive it. And no one actually likes to think they're a victim, but until you call yourself on it, we all have it. I think that's really important for us all to know. We all have it. We all have it. No one wants to think they've got it. No one. But you just have to look at a blog and, a rant online to see that so many people believe that it's them. So many people. So let us just spend a few minutes talking about how to break it. And I can only teach you how to break it from a spiritual angle. So if you've ever read any spiritual work or listened to some of my previous podcasts, you may have heard me talk about the divine I am. This is the part of you that is the eternal part of you. When you are there and I am there, we are one. When you are there in that place of no thought, in the observer, you're on the consciousness of spirit. You're in the place of allowing, as Abraham Hicks calls it. You're in the divine space of the universe. That is a spiritual space from which we heal the victim energy. So let's talk about 4 steps, and I'm going to take you through steps 3 and 4 in a bit more detail. Step 1, I've already spoken about. You just identify where in your life you've got a victim thought. I have to work so hard. This life is hard. My bank account isn't enough. Just see it. Step 2 is optional depending on, how well acquainted you are with your body. Where into your body do you hold that story? Maybe your shoulders, your back, your stomach. Where do you hold that story? Step 3 is to see or become aware that the divine doesn't see it that way. The divine sees you as eternally capable, eternally possible, and infinitely powerful. So step 3 and 4 are a bit meditative. So if you're driving, you will pull over or do this later. So let's go into mini meditation. On your next breath, as you slow that breath down, calm your mind down and center just a little bit. Get present to your breath. Get present to the moment now. And see if you can step into the observer, the witness consciousness of this moment. The part of you that can see you and step outside of your thoughts. And just take a few breaths here. As your breath slows down and your mind gets quieter, start deeply to bring in that awareness of this energy called the divine. infinite love. You may perceive it as peace, your divine support team, your guides, and your angels. The universe of love, the quantum field, whatever term works for you. When you tune into this energy of unconditional love, let it in closer. This is your infinite capacity. You imprint your quantum field with your thoughts. And those thoughts and beliefs that you put into the quantum field is actually what you create. And with that knowing cerebrally, even logically, it is impossible to be a victim. But as a child born into a little body with crazy parents and a crazy society, we take it on quite normally. So step 3 is to bring in the consciousness of this divine support team, this guide, this love. And you may feel it in your meditation right now as just a sensation, maybe tingles or goosebumps, or maybe a perceived different air pressure, or maybe just a sense of calm and peace around you as you breathe. In this last step, let's practice what we call forgiveness. So in your mind's eye, go into the center of your heart and find a place in your heart of stillness, of peace, of the divine I am, of love, of essence, of truth, of yourself. And just stay here with your breath. And imagine in this heart of yours is an altar, like what you would see at a church or a temple. And you walk over to that altar and you place on the altar this piece of paper that says all your victim stories. Maybe just do one at a time. Put on that story, put on that piece of paper the thought that you're not capable. And put on the altar and simply say, forgiveness, set me and everyone free. Forgiveness, set me free from thinking I am less than. Forgiveness, set me free from the idea that I'm not capable. Forgiveness, set me free because I know the truth. I am. I am. I am a child of God. I'm a child of love. I am. And as you place it on the altar and repeat that forgiveness prayer a few times, behind the altar is an energy of beautiful light that can transmute and heal whatever you've given it. As you've placed on the altar this idea that you're a less than, you receive back the idea, the belief, the thought. You are a child of God. You are grace. You are love. You can say that in the affirmative. I am love. I am grace. I am the divine. I am the empowerment of my truth. And take whatever statement resonates the most with you, either from what I've said or what came to you alone, and carry it in your heart. The truth is in your heart. It's not in the story. You have released that story. And now you can breathe into the depths of your being, the depths of your wisdom, and the centeredness of your love. Take about 10 more breaths here. Slow and deep belly breath. You may feel a shift, an awareness, a subtle shift or a magnificent shift. It doesn't really matter. Might just be a little bit lighter at heart, a little quieter in the mind. And then again, I always encourage people to stay longer in the meditations than I give them. You will come back when you will, but this is a meditation that you just don't do once. You do it whenever that thought comes in that you're less than. Because you are gifted, whatever your gift is, to be on the planet. And I encourage you to hold that to your heart. Hold it to your truth, like somebody holds a tattoo on their body. I am that. I am that. I am. And that emanates from your body. And you receive back the physical manifestations. And that is how you heal the victimhood. And just breathe. Stay here longer, if you will, letting in the love from Spirit, Source, the universe. Taking this little grain of wisdom with you through your day, today, tomorrow, and every day. I'm sending you lots of love, and feel free to drop me an email with any questions you might have. Sending you lots of love. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me in this podcast, Ease into Clarity. It is such a joy, pleasure, and honor to be in your living room. What I would love is if you follow me on Instagram, DRDIVI, or go to my website, drdivi.com, or write a review. That would be even more amazing. Thank you. If you really enjoyed this podcast, feel free to share it with friends, family, tell them to follow me, because I think the more of us that listen to the fact that each of us can start to shift, each of us can shift mental things, emotional things, spiritual shift, to shift our daily reality. When more and more of us do it, we get a better planet. We get more love. We get more happiness. We get more joy. So I'd love it if you followed. I'd love it if you shared this, because it would be such a joy and an honor. And again, if you have a question, guess what? I'm here for you. So send me an email, easeintoclarity@gmail.com. And as they come in, I will answer them in podcasts that are subsequent, whether it be your boss, your relationship, your husband, whatever. That's what I'm here for. Because the more of us that learn really simple mental techniques, really simple spiritual techniques, we change the physical reality we live in. Pretty soon we have more peace, more ease, more joy trickling across the whole world. Remember, there's a spiritual solution for every problem. Thank you for joining me. Namaste.